We live in a world where the camera is almost always pointed back at us. A world that tells our kids that value comes from what they show, what they have, what they post. And as parents and grandparents and leaders, we feel that tension. We feel the pull of culture saying, get more. But deep inside, we know something different. The families who leave the greatest legacies are the ones who learn to give, not just get. Today, I want to talk about how to raise kids and grandkids to grow up generous in a world obsessed with more. Let's get into it. Strategy one, I think, is important, like that your kids see you give in multiple ways. Cool stuff, right? But the serotonin is what's given off when people do acts of charity and giving and selflessness. See, I'm sharing a story right now. And see, these are the kind of things that happen that we want to remember. They got their wallet back. Nothing was taken from it. Because, my gosh, all your credit cards or medical information, having to go through maybe canceling all that. So welcome back to the Legacy Life Podcast, episode 42. And we're moving right along here, getting close to the Christmas season, and we're glad that you're here with us. If you haven't subscribed to the show, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. We have an episode every Monday that will come to you through all the online platforms, Spotify, Apple, and on YouTube. So today, we're getting into more about this multi-generational planning mindset.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
specifically with generosity.
Yeah, generosity today,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of takes us back a little bit. We did some, several episodes now. We did something on the 5-jar kind of system for young kids.
Yep.
Teaching kids how to learn how to budget or how they can portion their money.
Yep.
And
there's the giving jar,
Mhm.
one of the 5. Yeah.
which is one of our most watched episodes.
Which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, so yeah, today we'll talk about that. But I'm having a hard time believing we're already at episode 42. But I think I say that every week. This is going so fast.
Right.
But we're in a season of giving right now. Christmas they call it the season of giving.
Yep.
So what a good time to talk about generosity.
Mm-hmm.
And the research, of course, that we look at here is definitely crystal clear that the families in this multi-generational stuff, we talked about last week, we talked about the family LLC.
Yep.
And we talked about trusts and how together in that partnership, trusts create the foundation. The LLC is the stewardship sandbox for teaching, like a teaching tool for families.
Yep.
Where giving can be one of those tools they teach with it. And encouraging families that your family just might be one of these families that can have massive impact on their generations. We just need someone to try to go first, right?
Right. Yeah.
And,
exactly. Yeah.
That could be them. It could be us. So this research, when we talk about generosity, seems to be a big linchpin in the success in that sandbox that people are playing in.
Yeah.
That the families who practice this regularly tend to stay together much longer. There's, I guess, the serotonin that gets released in our bodies through the act of giving. There's dopamine and there's oxytocin, right? And there's serotonin and all these different hormones that are given off. And the dopamine feels good. That's what our phones give us when we watch cool stuff, right? But the serotonin is what's given off when people do acts of charity and giving and selflessness.
Mm-hmm.
It gives off serotonin in the body, which gives a sense of wellness and joy and well-being in the body. It's different than dopamine,
Yeah.
but it takes longer to build up in our system than dopamine does.
Interesting. Okay.
That's why consistent giving, I think, they show is important because it has a consistent buildup of that serotonin, which brings about a better mental framework for people to operate in.
Interesting.
That's what they found. I think it's really interesting.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's how we're created and made
Yeah.
to be, right? So the 100 Years Family that Dr. Jaffe has been studying globally, thriving families define their legacy by not what they accumulate, but by what they contribute. So generosity comes in many forms.
Gotcha.
Okay. So generosity, we know that that is the leading indicator to help produce something called humility,
Mm-hmm.
and it crushes something called entitlement.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is the big thing, especially today. There's just a lot of entitlement where we kind of in our culture now feel like we deserve,
Right.
you know? Um,
In reality, we don't.
yeah. I ordered my food on DoorDash and you got it here in 15 minutes. I mean, what's going on?
Right.
It should have been 10, right? We're just really, really upset when things don't go the way we want.
It's true. Yeah.
That's a simple thing, but entitlement expresses itself in so many ways. I deserve this. I deserve this much income. I deserve this kind of work environment, right? We just feel all this deserving. And this generosity tool can be a really good way for us to remind ourselves that really we don't. We're not really entitled to anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that example becomes the story that generations continue to tell, because in these family meetings, a lot of times they'll recall and say, I can remember Grandpa when he did, because when people are intentionally involved in these processes, you remember those testimonies
Right.
of the things that people did. My uncle just passed away recently.
Mm-hmm.
And at his funeral, my cousin Dan did an awesome job on the eulogy, and expressing and showing all the ways my uncle was a very giving person, and how many different there were. My family, he adopted a young girl who's my cousin Diana now, when she was real little, and loved her, just like she was his own. And there were other young men that my cousin knew, like growing up in school, who had hardships, and my uncle came around them and helped and treated them like his sons, and they were at his funeral, now older people.
Wow.
But were there. And that's just a testimony that impact was there, that legacy is there.
Mm-hmm.
He put something in motion in their life that they're continuing to carry on, and that's what this is about. That generosity is really what people are remembering.
Right. Yeah.
And they would say, I didn't deserve the kindness he gave me.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't entitled to it. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But the appreciation is so much deeper
Mm-hmm.
when it doesn't come through that avenue.
Yeah. It's true.
And so I was really blown away by the eulogy, and just by the whole service, and just the wonderful life he lived.
Mm-hmm.
So see, I'm sharing a story right now, and see, these are the kind of things that happen that we want to remember. So okay, some more research here. Okay. So here's what a family, Southeast Asia, they had a textile business. Okay.
Go figure.
Yeah. Right. And that grew bigger than they ever imagined. And when their business was young, they made a decision before they really made any real money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And their decision was that every family member in every generation would give away a portion of their salary.
Okay.
Okay. This is what we're going to do. It wasn't forced.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like some hard, fast rule. No, this is who we are.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so that was what they decided. And then something beautiful really happened in their family as they did. The kids grew up seeing that generosity because it was talked about. This is what we do. It was normal. Expected. It was a joyful thing they did. And so decades later, when the grandparents passed, the kids never fought over money. They fought over which causes they got to support.
Interesting.
Right?
Yeah.
No, I want to give here. No, I want to give here.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't in a mean way. Like there wasn't any infighting because one charity was more special than another.
Right.
But they stayed unified for over 3 generations by doing this, just because they simply decided we're going to be generous with a portion of our salary.
Yeah.
Something just that simple.
Right. Yeah.
Had a profound impact. It doesn't sound like a huge thing, but it really turned out to be. So I guess that's the point. I want people to think that in these families who do this, that they're just doing some small intentional things. It's not like they came up with some idea that no family in the history of forever ever came up with.
Right. I mean, giving away a chunk of your salary can feel like a big thing to people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Doesn't feel like a little thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people watching this now might be like, yeah, we can't do that. Brian, don't you know there's inflation out there? Yeah,
Right.
to totally get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally understand. But, I think that it's, I don't even know what portion of their salary they decide to give away.
Right.
$5, $1,000. Like, I don't even know what it was, but they just put in the practice of doing it.
Right.
And that opened the door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's not about amounts.
Yeah.
So today's culture, though, this is tough because maybe you disagree. Maybe you see, it doesn't seem like generosity is really something that's really overly encouraged today.
If it is marketed, if you do see generosity, it's typically people videotaping it and documenting it, saying, "Here, look what I did." You know?
Yeah.
Here, look at how like philanthropic I am because I give to all these people all the time. Like, they build entire like businesses and enterprises based on giving, which plants good seeds. You help people out and everything like that, but also it seems kind of vain because they're just like marketing it and advertising it, and they're making a profit off of it. I'm sure they could say they give it all back and everything like that, but
Yeah.
you know, they're getting their reward here, right? So
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
yeah,
Right. Which, there's something to be said about that. What's the idiom? The right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing.
yeah,
The giving in secret kind of
Mhm.
idea. It's not that, people can't know that you give. It's just, it's the motivation and how
It's the heart
done.
behind
It's
it.
the heart behind it. Absolutely.
yeah,
So, let's talk about maybe 5 ways you can teach generosity to this, what we call the selfie world, right? Strategy 1, I think, is important, like that your kids see you give in multiple ways. I'm thinking back. I can remember this one example. It was actually, I think it was, it must have been in a November or a December. This was several years ago now. Your oldest, Akira, she was in high school still.
yeah,
And her and I were going to the mall to shop. And we pulled up in the parking lot, parked the car, and we got out of the car. And immediately we both saw it in the parking spot next to us. There was just a wallet sitting in the parking spot. It was wide open. Like it was one of those that folded over and had a snap. It
yeah,
was a female's wallet, but it had like just open. It was just sitting there. We have to go, whoa. So what do you do?
yeah.
Right?
Search them up on Facebook.
Yeah. So we picked it up and we said, okay. It didn't look like it had been tampered with, but we looked for some identification. And so, yeah, we tried to look him up on Facebook and found the person. But I just had this idea when we were there because we looked and we're like, lived about 25 minutes away,
Mm-hmm.
I think, 25, 30 minutes. And so what we did is we drove the wallet back to the person's house because, I mean, they obviously were gone.
Right.
And I can imagine if I was in that situation, I get home and I've lost my wallet, the last place, I'd probably go back to the mall and go inside the store and look for it.
Right.
I'm not going to look in the parking lot necessarily. So we went back there and we knocked on the door. No one was home. So we just put a note and put it in the mailbox and then went on Facebook and we eventually found her. It was difficult, but we found her and then we were able to message her. And I can just remember Kira and I got a phone call from this person who you can just imagine was on cloud 9.
Right.
They got their wallet back. Nothing was taken from it because my gosh, all the
Right.
Credit cards or medical information, having to go through maybe canceling all that.
Right, yeah.
Right. I mean, what a nightmare, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that for one person, we were able just to do just one small act, but like it just, it was 30 minutes, a little fuel, and you're just putting it in there, but it meant the world to that person, right? And I remember doing that with Kira, and I just remember thinking, like, as a dad, like, this was a really important moment. Going shopping that night had a bigger purpose than
Right.
going into the store.
Mm-hmm.
Just one small thing like that.
Yep.
And I'm not just sharing that just because I just remember as a dad feeling like it was a really cool thing I got to participate with Kira.
Right.
Like, and just teaching, like, when you're in situations, this is what you do,
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, let your kids see that kind of stuff. Take those moments and just make it an adventure, you
Right.
know.
Yeah.
You can create a family giving fund. put a jar on the counter and say, hey, if you want to put anything in it,
Right.
do that. And then maybe, we never did this specifically, but I mean, we were always givers, but like, I can just think some families put it in there, let everyone contribute, then everyone can decide together what we're going to do with it. Right. You can make certain rituals around holidays or birthdays or a certain night of the week where you make generosity a part of your family culture. Tuesday night is giving night. We're going to go and whatever.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think like we talked about just a little bit earlier, tell your stories, tell your generosity stories, things that you remember so that people can remember. I think, even in Scripture, God always had people remember the stories. Remember how I delivered you out of Egypt. Remember how I bore you on eagle's wings. Remember these stories so that you can pass them on to your children and to your children's children. Like there is always this encouragement to continue to retell the great things that happen so that everyone knows they're part of that story.
Yeah.
And to duplicate it and to duplicate those practices. So is there like, I guess for you, is there like any moment of generosity that like you remember growing up that like marked you in any special way? Put you right on the spot. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I don't know if I could think of anything like specific.
I don't know if it doesn't have maybe one event or maybe a situation or like an overall thing that you picked up on or.
Yeah, I guess just growing up in the culture of generosity in our church community, I think, and just seeing how our leaders basically just serve every day of their life all the time. And they give them their whole selves all the time, and they get dragged through the mud and they've been come after and slandered and ridiculed.
Yeah.
And gone through a lot of like trials in that way in our community, but they just continue to love well and serve. So I think just that overall for sure has marked me for life. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, well, that's good. So, we just want to encourage families to take time to think about this and say, how can we maybe got really young kids? How can we start to implement this while they're real little? Maybe you're like, you know what? Maybe we missed that opportunity. Start today.
Right.
The old adage, if you didn't plant the tree 20 years ago when it was the best time, the next best time to start is today.
Yep.
And water it and water it and water it and take care of it. And you may not see results right away. I always like to say that true growth, I think, and true blessing takes time.
Yep.
It's inheritance like that is not quickly gained and shouldn't be. It's something that's nurtured over time and becomes it's more meaningful when it it takes its journey and takes its time to grow.
Yep.
So start somewhere and then just watch over time to see what happens. And if you have a story about generosity that you want to share, please put it in the comments. We'd love to hear about it. If there's any other episodes or topics you want us to cover, please let us know. We'd love to do that. But we thank you for joining us today. And during this Christmas season, we hope that you and your family are blessed. And we look forward to talking to you guys again real soon.